Hi and welcome back to Bike Speed. So today we bring you the destroyed derailleur. Very common on adolescent bikes. In the UK we have this brand Carrera that's sold by one of the big national retailers, and they all end up with this bent hanger. It's a very weak point on this bike. Although this is a sacrificial part, it seems on these bikes particular that rear derailleur hanger is always getting bent. You end up with twisted derailleurs like this. You can see that kink in there should be straight. The derailleur is absolutely destroyed. This bike has had absolute catastrophic failure, and it's not uncommon. I do this job almost daily, at least once, twice a week I'm doing this work. It's such a common problem with these bikes. This is a bike that's very much attracted to your teenage boys. A lot of wheelies are done on these bikes. Everything's under colossal strain. They're ridden a million miles with no maintenance whatsoever, and eventually it catches up and you end up with something like this. And you can see here how that's twisted off. That should all be square, and at the point that this gave way, that's buckled. The derailleur's gone into the wheel and the rest is history. So we're going to strip it down and get everything back to as clean as possible, and the parts that we're reusing, obviously we clean them up. We make sure the bike is nicely presented and everything's clean so that mechanically it's spot on. And that's what we're beginning to do here. So we're stripping down this bike. Now we have noticed, obviously we're a new channel this year, and we have noticed through the winter months that we hadn't really pre-planned for the winter months, and the rebuilds, the full rebuilds that we know you love to watch and see, we're not getting as many of those high-end bikes in through the winter, because obviously a lot of people tend to only use their best bikes in the summer months, spring, summer. They don't want to be using them in the salty roads in the winter, when the bikes will naturally deteriorate, and often a lot of people aren't riding. So that's why currently we're just bringing you various servicing jobs. So this is our wonderful new ultrasonic cleaner. The old one we blew up, as we mentioned in one of our previous videos. This one is a 6 litre ultrasonic cleaner, and it's a much better size for actually a lot of these chain rings and things. So we've moved from the 3 litre ultrasonic cleaner that we use in the videos to the 6 litre. We have actually also got a cleaning bath in another area of our shop, which we never use on camera. We tend to only use the ultrasonic cleaners on camera, so that's why we've just upped the size of that slightly, just to make our filming efforts a little bit easier. So you can see we're cleaning up all the parts now. These bits we're going to reuse. Everything here is just cleaned up and prepped up ready for refitting to the bike, and we, as you've seen in our previous videos, we'll gradually grease all these bits up and get them ready. And this is, to me, the most satisfying part of any work that we do in the shop is that getting everything as pristine as we possibly can, and greased up correctly and put back together correctly, and all the little things that we see that often aren't done with maintenance. We like to just get everything right and thoroughly enjoy this stage of any servicing or rebuild. We've got a full rebuild coming up in the coming weeks, maybe next week, the week after. Got a very old, very rusty bike that we're about to recommission. That'll be a very in-depth and interesting video, we're sure. So you can see here, just lubricating up that front derailleur. And then this is a stage, all I got asked to do was to recommission that rear triangle, the gearing of this bike. I wasn't asked to wash the bike down, I wasn't asked to service it, but to me this is the presentation part of my work, that I always want someone to get back on a bike and sort of them to glance down at it and maybe rekindle what they first had with that bike the day they got it. When a 15-year-old or whatever is given a bike like this, they will be thrilled with it the day they get it. Then gradually they end up destroying it, as this bike ended up, and they lose the love for it. Well, as they're growing up, I want them to maybe rekindle that love of cycling and to move it forwards through their life. So that's why I like to clean up all the bikes I do. Even in the regular servicing, I always clean the bikes down so that they're presented to a stage where you can get back on it and fall in love with it again. So that's what we did. So we got a brand new hanger there. The old one was too bent to save, but even with a brand new hanger, it's always important to just make sure it's still aligned with the wheel. So I always use the valve section of the wheel, just make sure it's aligned correctly, because the frame might have bent, or even the new derailleur might not line up perfectly with the wheel, so you'll have shifting problems. So I always align those, even on a new one, with the wheel that's going into the bike. Chain set on, everything torqued up. I occasionally I'll stand and watch other repairers in other shops, and they never use torque wrenches. They just wind them up with an Allen key. They say their experience is what gives them that tension, but I don't believe it. You should always torque up your bikes. So we've got a new derailleur on there, a new chain, and everything now is brand new there. So this bike will ride and feel as good as the day it left the factory. I've lubricated the shifter, brand new cable, stainless steel cables into brand new outers. So every possibility to make this bike perfect is there. You know, I'm not reusing anything, and the gear shifting, little adjustments to the high-low screws and the thumb adjuster, a little squirt of lubricant on the front here now, and a new cable, and then everything is right, perfect, everything's changing as it should. And I know when the customer rides this bike away that the shifting aspect of the bike is gonna be perfect, and that's what we're always aiming for. You know, we don't want any problems, and you know, it's important just to methodically work your way through the job you're doing and to get it right. So once everything's done, cable ends on, torque wrench, just torque up the pinch bolts. And then the final thing I did notice here was this fraying cable on the rear brake. I wasn't servicing the brakes, I wasn't asked to do those, but I couldn't leave that alone. Just had to present that as well. So you can see the before and after shots here and what a difference it makes, and this bike will be perfect when it leaves the shop. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.